Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Just realized I don't have my stream lights on, so I got to turn those on. There they are. They're on now. I did not do a pre-stream shirt clean either. It's been kind of a busy day today. Hope everybody's doing well. Am I coming through loud and clear? Let me know. Nice to see everyone in chat. Global Game Night says, looking good, Grim. Appreciate it. Appreciate that. Sergeant Perry says, congrats on partner. I appreciate that. Yes, we are now Twitch partners. Isn't that amazing? That's awesome. And it was pretty much due to all of you just showing up, hanging out, having a good time, enjoying the discussion, all that kind of good stuff. Obviously, over on YouTube, we have been, I got one little dot here that's, there we go. Over on YouTube, we've been doing well from a community growth standpoint, even without the pre-recorded videos being a focus for like the last 16, 18 months. We've been doing the streaming thing. The YouTube community's been growing. We've been adding a bunch of new subs, so I do appreciate that. And then on the Twitch side, there was a concerted effort to just be consistent and, keep trying to tap into the discussions you all want to have, the things you all like to talk about. And again, I think it's been so far very successful. We applied to partner for the first time and got approved, which from what I've heard is not super common for it to be a first-time approval thing, but it did. It worked. We're now in. What does that mean? What does that mean for the stream and for future content? Well, it's not going to mean any real changes, to be totally honest with you. It's going to be we're going to keep doing the same thing we've been doing. We're going to be having the same discussions, focusing on the same topics, doing about the same cadence, so about twice a week. Still going to stick with my Tuesday shows and probably the Thursday night shows. Those seem to be working out best for me. And then Sundays are, a possibility. Why am I streaming on Monday night now? Well, it's the holidays and my schedule's all kinds of messed up. So that being said, it does feel good. It does feel good to hit partner. It does open the path up for more monetization and stuff like that. But I got to be honest with you all. I don't do this for the money side of it at all. I have a good job, thankfully. I'm very fortunate. I do this because I like talking to you all, plugging into the Star Citizen conversations and having those dialogues with all of you. So for the immediate future, I don't have any plans to, up the, sort of monetization stuff that's going on with the channel. I'm not one of those people that likes a ton of ads and all that kind of stuff anyway. So we're just going to kind of keep trucking along how we've been without any big changes. The only thing that I think will alter is new content. So the Shipyard stream really was supposed to be a focus on just ships, and it has, morphed a little bit and turned into kind of a catch-all stream. So moving forward, there's going to be sort of, I'm going to sort of separate two bits of content. Tuesdays will most likely be Shipyard episodes like they've always been. And then Thursdays, I'm going to go back to those being, just STARJUMP streams, STARJUMP Grim streams. So just open conversation, anything Star Citizen, or relevant topics related, and then the Tuesday stream, the Shipyard stream, being primarily ship focused. So Birdmax says, when Grim started covering Star Citizen, he looked about 17 years old, and now I look close to 57 years old. But anyway, thanks for everyone hanging out tonight. Do have a few things we're going to talk about tonight. It's not going to be the longest stream in the world, but I hope you all are having a great holiday, enjoying your time with family and all that kind of good stuff. If you do the whole Christmas thing, hopefully you're enjoying that. Hanukkah, whatever your celebrations are for this year, hopefully you are enjoying it. Obviously, if you haven't been living under a rock, the letter from the chairman dropped today, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. That was unexpected, but it was nice to see. And then I thought we would just sort of talk, 2025 and 2026, what this year was all about and what we're going into next year. We may get a little bit of that info from the letter from the chairman. I have not really looked over it, so that'll be, I kind of saved it for stream. So hopefully there'll be some clues there. And then I thought we would also talk a little bit about the ships of 2026 again, maybe have any open discussion about that. The question bot is running, so feel free to ask questions if you want. Just do question in bracket or however you want to do it, and the question bot should pick it up. We will get to those, so thank you very, very much. And again, I want everyone in chat here on YouTube, on Twitch, both communities, I want you all to give yourselves a big ol' 07. The Twitch partnership wouldn't have happened without you all. It's pretty hard to hit those metrics, to be quite honest with you. I think it's like 2 or 3 months worth of 7 streams, all at 75 average viewers or higher. And you should be getting much higher in order to hit those metrics they have. And we've been killing it. I think I looked at some of the metrics for November, for example, and we were through the roof. We were like, I think some of our average viewers were anywhere from 145 to 180 average viewers per stream on Twitch. And YouTube was parallel in that. I mean, the numbers were right there with YouTube as well. Many nights we were streaming to both communities upwards of 500, on average 500 viewers, which was amazing. So all of you in chat, give yourselves an 07 tonight. Give yourselves a round of applause. I greatly appreciate it. It's just nice to see the STARJUMP community growing, and from longtime STARJUMP supporters to brand new people, it is appreciated. Okay, so I do appreciate that. Let's go ahead and get to a few things. It is a giveaway tonight. We're going to be giving away an Elysium patch bundle. Okay, which pretty cool patch bundle. One of my favorites actually comes with the kind of Chairman's Club-esque armor, and the I forget which gun this is though. No, I think it's one of the Volt Prism something. Either way, you get the gun, and then you get the black and gold cutlass livery. It does work on all the cutlasses, I believe, so it can apply to quite a few different ships. Ruben Source, hope you're doing well. Thank you for that, buddy. Appreciate you. So I'll be giving away that tonight. How do you get in on that? Well, it's very easy. If you're over on YouTube, there is a link pinned to the top of chat. You're just going to go to that link and you're going to leave a comment, okay? If you're over on Twitch, you can leave a comment there as well. You can do both. Everyone can do both, but here is the YouTube link. You're just going to go to that YouTube link. It's one of my new player guide videos. You're just going to leave a comment on that video. Hello, how are you? All that kind of good stuff. And I'm going to pull a random comment from there. And if you're over on the Twitch side, you all tell me, press 1 if you want it to be through Stream Elements, and press 2 if you want to do Stream Racers tonight. Let me know. Let me know what you think. 1 for Stream Elements, ticket mine. 2 for Stream Racers. Okay, it's the funny thing. I found that it's pretty overwhelmingly Stream Racers, which is totally fine. So we're gonna do it that way. Let me get it going here. Let me just grab the right imagery, and we'll be set up. All right, cool. Stream Elements that is running. You can do exclamation ticket to get in on that giveaway. Again, that will be for an Elysium patch bundle. Now, the only thing I'll say about that, is if you win and you want the, you know what, I'm going to swing over here and let's go to the Robert Space Industries homepage again. If you win and you just don't want the Elysium one and you want the new Disrupt patch bundle, you can choose that as well. Okay, gave one of these away the other day to Citizen Zombie. He was very appreciative. So yeah, if you win tonight, you'll be able to choose between the 2 patch bundles. It'll either be the Elysium or the Disrupt camo one. Okay. Now, one thing I will say, if you're new to the channel, this is how it works. Okay. If you leave a random comment on the video, I'm going to pull a random comment from that video. And if you win on Stream Elements, I'll pull that random winner. And we're going to put you both in the random wheel of names. We're going to spin it, and then you will be able to choose. Okay. Dukester says, how are you, Graham? Appreciate your hard work. Thank you very much, Dukester. Appreciate that. All right. Okay, everybody, we're going to get to it. We're getting a nice little crowd forming, 118 over on Twitch and 79 over on YouTube. Amazing. I really appreciate it, everyone. We're going to not waste too much time today. We're going to jump into some things. Do not forget the show sponsors, iconcity.com. You can use this code STARJUMP there to get your 10% discount on Stream Deck icons. Remember, you can use Stream Decks for more than just streaming. You can use them for extra MFDs while you're playing Star Citizen and other cool things like that. So I do encourage you to get a Stream Deck if you have never owned one. And there's some really cool Star Citizen icon packs that have all kinds of MFD buttons and everything. And it's really, really cool. So I do recommend that. In addition, Pigeon Spaceport. I don't have any of the stuff up today. I'm prepping better show sponsor segment. That'll be coming very soon. That'll be a pre-recorded thing. But Pigeon Spaceport, make sure you go to Pigeon Spaceport. Use the code STARJUMP, and that will get you a discount on their Scorpius models that they currently sell. They are prepping a sample to send out to me. I will do a review on it live on stream, and maybe we'll be able to give that away. So yeah. Let's see here. What are y'all hearing when I talk into the mic? CPU fans in background. Are you guys hearing? Let's see. I might have let me turn this off. See if that helps. Let me know if that helps. You may hear voices in the background. That may be my daughter tonight. Sorry. Is it picking her up? Can y'all hear that? Is it picking her up? I did have a fan near the mic, so that may have helped. That may have helped. Sounds clear to head. Spectre EH says, being a shithead, sorry. Spectre, that's okay. We're all allowed to be shitheads some of the time, right? There are some kids in the other room playing, screaming, all that kind of good stuff. And I did have a fan right next to the microphone. All right, we're just going to jump right into it, everybody. Why waste time? We're going to jump right into it. The first thing we have to talk about tonight is the letter from the chairman. I always love these. As much as the project has, Icon City partner link is not working for you. Okay, I'll have him look into that. It should still be active. I think you can add the promo code when you check out, Zetiak. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. So yeah, you should be able to use the StarJump promo code in checkout. Let me know if you have issues with that. I can ping James and see what's up. Maybe there's an issue. Okay. Snoochie Boochie says, I'm your biggest fan. That's amazing. Thank you, Boochie. Appreciate that. Thanks for hanging out today. I'm a big fan of the letter from the chairman's. I enjoy every time Chris Roberts does one of these. I personally just also feel that it's really great to get, that dialogue from CR to the backers, because a lot of us did truly back because of that vision. Now, again, putting any criticisms aside, obviously there's plenty of reasons to have issues with scope creep and other things, maybe that have prolonged development, but a lot of us, are here because of Chris Roberts' vision. So getting the letter from the chairman is a big, big thing. By the way, the bot is picking up your questions. I'll go ahead and tell you, yes, we are going to talk about that RSI image. We're gonna sneak peek image. We are going to go into that. So let's go ahead and dive into the letter from the chairman, and we'll make our way through this content. Okay, I have not read this yet. Okay, so I may be reading some of this as we're going here. Sorry if you've already read it. Okay. Letter from the chairman says, as we wrap up 2025, I want to take a moment to reflect on the year and what it's meant for all of us. 2025 became the year of playability for Star Citizen. It was a year when more people played than ever before and spent more time in the verse than at any point in our history. That's a key thing right there, and I think something that CIG should be proud of, actually. That's an accomplishment when your game is still technically alpha. That momentum did not happen by chance. It came from a focused effort to improve quality of life, performance, and reliability, and to make the gameplay experience more engaging and rewarding to return to. And here's the thing, sometimes, messaging we get from CIG can obviously be, a little bit white knighty and talking about all the positive things, but I really have to agree with the statement that Chris makes here. I do think CIG made a focused effort to improve the quality of life and the performance and the reliability and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't always successful. Some of the events, I think, pushed the limits of the game into ways and broke the game in other ways, but I do think there was a concerted effort by CIG. I really do. It says here, we started the year with 2 clear goals as a company: to improve stability and quality of life in Star Citizen while continuing to deliver regular content updates, and to push Squadron 42 toward beta and release in 2026. Very key statement there. Very bold claim. First off, there's been discussion stuff in the past about this beta phase for Squadron 42. If it's supposed to release next year, is a beta still planned? Well, you can see here Chris addresses that and states that yes, that is the plan for Squadron 42 to hit beta and then be subsequently released in 2026. That is still the plan, it seems like. Okay. And then finally he says, I'm happy to say we've made great progress on both fronts. Again, exciting to hear. Let's keep going. Star Citizen. Let's talk about Star Citizen for a minute. On the Star Citizen side, 2025 saw a year of important pieces come together. We'll release not 1 but 2 star systems in a single year, welcomed the return of the beloved landing zone Levski, and added new locations around the verse, opening more space to explore and spend time in. Yeah, I mean, that's true. I would probably say that, I would probably say that saying that Nyx is a full system, or not a full system, but as a system is being generous. It's kind of really just a landing zone that we take a jump point through. It's not a full new system yet, but I do get what CIG's saying, and I don't knock them for that. I would be okay, for example, if Castra came in the same state, where Castra comes in as a system and then the planets are added over time. You know what I mean? So some of you are saying 1.5 star systems. Yeah, I agree with that. Hey, it's Trispone in chat, everyone. Say hello to Trispone. Make sure you go check out his YouTube channel. He was my guest on the last couple streams, my Galaxy stream. Yeah. Trist, I hope you're doing well, buddy. Server meshing was the key technology that made all this possible. With the release of 4.0.1 to the live environment on January 28th, we moved into a bigger, more performant and stable universe. And while there were a few hiccups with some legacy systems like the elevators and air traffic control that were built long before server meshing was conceived, server meshing itself has been working flawlessly since the beginning. A testament to the design and execution of the system by our network, backend, engine, and gameplay teams. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think the gains made via server meshing have been really impressive. And I think CIG, honestly, they've surprised me with the speed at which server meshing has been improving, becoming more stable, becoming more performant. I've actually thought it was going to be a longer runway. So they've impressed me from that standpoint. It says every day it handles tens of thousands of people playing concurrently in shared instances of up to 700 players. For something that simulates everything to the level of detail we do at that scale we do, in the scale we do in first and third person, this is truly mind-boggling achievement. Most other multiplayer games top out between 50 to 100 players in a much more contained space than we allow you to explore in Star Citizen. In the MMOs with high player counts in the same instance don't simulate and render the world to the extent we do. Again, they're prefacing that because, some people will say, well, what about Eve and stuff like that? But there's caveats to that, right? And we've seen that. If you've ever played Eve, you'll know what some of those limitations are to be able to handle that many players. I, for one, don't want that experience. I played Eve. I liked Eve, but I am looking for a different experience from Star Citizen. I think the numbers they've been able to hit with server meshing have been very, very impressive up to this point. So, and even if they only grew a little bit after this, like maybe we get up to 800, 900 players, I'd be happy with that. I think that's enough. And then the instanced areas can handle more concentrated 200 to 300 player engagements that are focused around a smaller area, for fleet combat and stuff. But in the open world, I could see it be a 7, 8, 9,000 player sort of instanced area. So we'll see. And again, seeing how that will play into dynamic server meshing in the future will be exciting to see. As multiple servers now manage our vast universe, the individual server performance has greatly increased, creating a much better experience for all of you. And due to its design with separate service that tracks the state of the universe for all servers and clients, it allows us to quickly recover from a client or server crash without losing your progress, which is a huge quality of life win. Yeah, agreed. There's been some, I wouldn't say it's been completely without pain. The server recovery stuff. I've still had a few issues with that, but not a lot. Definitely not. We're not talking like 3.9 days or anything here. And certainly not talking about like 3.8 days, 3.5 days, where 30Ks were common. So now it's genuinely, when I log into Star Citizen now, I have grown to expect that the game is going to be stable. I may have a laggy experience or I may have some desync, but in general, I do sort of just take for granted already that stability is a thing. I don't know if you all agree, but I feel like that's probably an accurate statement. It says here, we shipped more mission and content and in-game events than ever before this year. None of us can disagree with that. That included large-scale moments like teaming up to take on an irradiated Valakar or coming face-to-face with Yormandi, as well as long-running storylines that helped add depth and context to the verse. 100%. They nailed that this year. Not a problem. The environments continue to evolve as well. Expanded weather effects and planetary conditions help make locations feel more distinctive or more distinct and atmospheric, while improvements to character, player interaction, and AI contributed to a more intuitive experience. We also expanded the vehicle lineup to introduce 24 new vehicles while continuing to improve the ships and ground vehicles already in your hands. Yeah, Hunter, all that for sure. I felt some of the POIs and location things brought to the game over the last 12 months in the form of the ASD facilities, the Onyx facilities, and more. A lot of the ships and vehicles they've brought to the game the past 12 months have been really great. Yes, we got our share of variants for sure, but I really don't look at variants as a bad thing. I look at variants as CIG maximizing their work, right? So if you, a good example of that would be a ship like, we'll talk about the Apollo real quick here. You have a ship, you make two different hulls for it, or two different variants, the triage and the medevac. You spend all this time developing the ship, doing all this beautiful interior and exterior artwork, only for it to plug into a very niche gameplay loop, which is medical. It makes sense to do another variant of that plugs in either to another gameplay loop or to a more generalist kind of gameplay experience where it can be enjoyed by more players. So that means the work that you're putting into building the Apollo internally at CIG is not only being built for a niche group of people, you're building it for the widest possible audience in order to generate the most money possible, which again, in a game that does not have a subscription or any other way to monetize, there's got to be some way for these people to get paid, right? So these ship sales are important, and you do want the ships to appeal to the most people they possibly can. Now, the argument on the other side of that is that if you make too many variants, then ships lose what makes them special, right? If they're that kind of weird niche ship that plugs into a very specific gameplay loop, that you'll lose what makes that special. And I agree. There is a limit on how much you can push the variant thing, but the variants again makes sense when you understand that CIG is ticking off some really big ships right now. Behind the scenes, there's a lot of big ships in production, a lot of backlog ships that are in production. So again, that begins to make sense. We're going to review some of that too, by the way. Don't forget, everyone, the bot is running. We'll circle back around to that here shortly, okay? Circle back around to some of those questions. Again, thank you, everybody, for the follows. We've gotten several follows tonight. Escape, Brave Star 1, Blam Smith, Odd W, and Taz. Thank you for those follows. Appreciate it. Supporting all of this was a significantly increased pace of delivery compared to previous years. In 2025, Star System delivered 11 major patches, more than 40 live publishes, 147 PTU builds, and several tech previews. This new pace allowed us to iterate faster, respond to feedback sooner, and deliver more content to play throughout this year. I've been pretty vocal in saying that I almost think it was too much content. I hope 2026 they're going to maybe every 2 months a new patch comes out. I think I would prefer that. I'd prefer the additional time to sort of soak up the content they're delivering. We closed out the year with the introduction of engineering in Star Citizen 4.5, adding new layers of interaction, decision-making, and responsibility to managing your ship. Again, your ship becomes the gameplay loop, right? Engineering is an important step towards the deeper, systemic experience I've always wanted to build, where coordination and your crew truly matter. While future systems such as Maelstrom's physically based materials and destruction, more realistic shield gameplay with generators and emitters, and our upcoming crafting system will further deepen engineering. It is important to bring engineering to diverse now so that we can begin to refine the experience in the live environment. And this is a really important one. And so I'm glad Chris talked about this. I've seen, and I know you all have seen this too, a lot of criticism on engineering, specifically around the balance of engineering, right? How certain ships, both small and large, perform with engineering now integrated into their systems. Some people are disappointed, some people are excited. But what I've been trying to tell everybody, and I know you all know this as well, especially if you watch this stream, you've probably been saying the same things because we talk about it a lot, is that engineering is far from finished. Far from finished. Okay. This is literally the tier 0 drop of engineering. And Chris brings up a couple of good things. I mean, we're still missing Maelstrom. That is going to totally change how engineering, damage, time to kill, repair, all that is going to perform differently under Maelstrom. Okay. So we're still missing that large component. He then talks about more realistic shield gameplay with generators and emitters. Again, another major thing we still do not have. Okay. We also still don't have proper scanning gameplay, which will affect how we get into combat. I can go further with this in that, so we're still missing those emitters, right? Those physical emitters. However, there's a lot of other things we're still missing in the engineering gameplay loop. The life support filters. We do have them on a few ships, not very many though. We're still missing that. We are missing batteries. Batteries are another thing we do not have. We have spaces for them, but we don't have them. Avionics. Again, it goes further and further and further, right? So subcomponents. Yeah, Socially Confused brings those up. Subcomponents. There's still so much missing to engineering. Okay. And again, when we do get that crafting gameplay and you can craft custom components, replacement components and stuff on your ships, etc., it's going to change the whole landscape of engineering is going to change multiple times. The best way to think about engineering as it's currently been put in the game is really just a foundation for them to build off of. They've just put down the concrete foundation of the house. That's all they've done here. Now it's time to start building the house that will be engineering, right? Continuing on, and again, everyone, feel free to ask your questions. I am going to circle around to questions after the letter from the chairman, okay? Finally, as a surprise, Christmas surprise, we quietly released an experimental VR mode in Alpha 4.5. What began as a passion project quickly caught people's attention, and the response from those who have tried it has been genuinely exciting. I know Trispone and VMXEO are both in chat. Myself as well. We all tried VR. We absolutely thought it was amazing, incredible. And even if it in its rough implementation now, the future that it is giving us a peek into is quite exciting. It was like playing the game for the first time again. So it says here, I've long believed Star Citizen is a natural fit for VR because of how we build our worlds. We physicalize almost everything, keeping first and third person views consistent in a shared universe. That approach takes more effort, but it makes the experience feel grounded and real, and it highlights the value of those design choices in a way few other technologies can. Again, it's that systemic way CIG has done the physicalness of everything that has made development slow, but hopefully allowed for a future where we can enjoy things like VR and other, and other new gameplay features that can sort of tap into the fact that the game is built that way. Being able to experience ships, environments, and equipment at true scale with natural movement and directional audio adds a level of immersion that's difficult to capture on a traditional display. All the detail we put in our environments, props, ships, and gear really pays off when you're up close and personal. This is still an early and experimental step, and there's plenty we want to improve. We need to continue dialing in the diegetic UI so that it feels comfortable and readable in VR. Refine FPS controls so your input controls your body rather than where you're looking, and add more dedicated control support. These are solvable problems and ones we are excited to tackle. I can guarantee you all right now, with the excitement around this VR implementation that has been going on within the community, I guarantee you CIG is going to put some people on this more than just Sylvan to focus on this and help solve some of these problems, because I don't even know if CIG was totally anticipating, how much of a buzz this was, going to generate. It's also worth mentioning that the new VR mode would not be possible without the engine and graphics work happening behind the scenes. Ongoing optimization efforts by our core technology group and our transition to Vulkan have made a meaningful difference. Fully agree. And without that work, I don't think VR will be running as smoothly in its first iteration. All of this, combined with the hard focus on bug fixing and quality of life features, has made Star Citizen more fun, stable, and playable than ever. Yeah, I mean, I do not think you can disagree with that, right? I don't think anyone can truly disagree with that. Yes, there's problems this past 12 months, but I don't think you can agree with that statement. Or it would be hard pressed to. I mean, everyone's had their own experiences for sure, but it says here, and the numbers back that up. We had a record-setting engagement this year with more than 64 million hours played in Star Citizen, up from 48 million in 2024. That's a huge leap, by the way. That's a 33% leap. You set new records in peak concurrency and unique daily users. And we saw huge increases in every metric, including 40 to 60% increases in average daily users and average peak concurrency. We also saw huge improvements in server stability with 50% fewer player disconnections per 1 million player hours compared to 2024. 2025 truly was the year of playability for Star Citizen. I don't know about you all, but I would love to see those internal metrics. The one where they reference here says here, what was it? It says here 57% fewer player disconnections per 1 million player hours. I would love to see the metrics behind this. Not because I don't believe them. I do believe them. I think it would be fascinating to see those metrics. What do you all think? By the way, we got a great group tonight, 172 on Twitch and 130 on YouTube. Thank you all so much. If you want to get in, by the way, on the Elysium patch bundle giveaway, or you can choose the Disrupt Camo patch bundle. If you want to get in on that, though, all you got to do is, if you're on YouTube, go to the link pinned to top of chat, leave a comment on that new player guide video for me. It can just be a single word, hello, whatever. And I'm going to pull the random winner from there. I'm going to pull a random comment. If you're over on Twitch, all you got to do is !ticket, and that will buy your tickets on the Twitch side. Yes, you can enter both if you want, by the way, if you have accounts on both. You can do exclamation ticket. I'm going to pull that winner. I'm going to put you both in the random wheel of names. We're going to spin it. Whoever wins will win the download or the patch bundle of their choice. Okay. All right, let's continue on. So far, by the way, the images have been known stuff. I was looking at them to see if there was any secrets, but I didn't see anything dropped in there. All looks pretty standard. Is that from Pyro? Or is that a future Nyx planet? I don't know. It's hard to know sometimes. Okay, Squadron 42. On Squadron 42 front, our focus throughout 2025 was to build on the progress of 2024 and what we showed at last year's CitizenCon by bringing the game to content complete and closing out remaining core tasks in preparation for beta. Okay. Raygun972, thank you for that subscription. Appreciate that. Salute to you. Thank you very much. All chapters are now fully playable from beginning to end, and we've been playing through the game ourselves regularly. Squadron 42 is a large game, over 40 hours in length, and it's becoming increasingly clear how special it is. How special it will be once the remaining polish, optimization, and bug fixing is complete. 40 hours is a pretty good length. I had originally at one point heard like 30 hours, I think is what I originally heard. So it's nice to see that it's even a little longer. So yeah. A big part of what makes this possible is the technology we've built at CIG over many years. The ability to move seamlessly from on foot into a vehicle you can fly and move around inside, down to a planet or across star systems, all without loading screens, creates a level of immersion that's very difficult to replicate. 100%. And that tech feature is one of the main reasons that pull players and get players interested in this project. Super Shoe says, couldn't they get it to 42 hours? They should have. They really need to. Says here, equally important is the quality of the content itself, from writing and performance capture to characters, environments, ships, lighting, sound, cinematics, and design. The level of care across the entire game is something I'm incredibly proud of. Combined with deeply interactive systems, it creates an experience that pulls you into the world and keeps you there. I mean, based off what we saw at CitizenCon, that little playthrough, and I know that was just the prologue, I'm still I'm just very, very excited for it. I want to play it. By the way, who was asking for that? Bird Max, there is the link. You can leave a comment on that link. Yeah, I mean, I was only like semi-interested in Squadron 42, but after watching that playthrough, I just got really excited for it. It felt very, very immersive. Something I kind of want to try out in VR, to be totally honest with you. M Driver says, STARJUMP is an excellent reader. Whew, God. I'll try my best. I don't know. I'll try my best. But yeah, that's Squadron 42. Interesting thing here, though, with this image, for those of you who don't realize, this is, if you remember, back when we talked about that alternate Squadron 42 Idris and Javelin exterior. That's what you're seeing there. And for those of you that did not realize there was a difference, I'll just pop up the Idris K here in STARJUMP Fleet Viewer. I'm going to go to a frontal view. You can see how in the Idris we have, it's got the engines mounted here on the side. It's got these real vertical, double stacked vertical engines here on the rear. But you can see in the Squadron 42 Idris, it is much different. It does have these engines, but they're at a tilt. They're completely different engines too, and they're a little bit more integrated into the hull. And then back here, you can see the engines are no longer a top-down engine. It's more of a chevron-shaped engine. So just in general, the Idris and the Javelin have received considerable exterior updates. I've showed this off in some previous imagery. And again, it's one of those things that I hope we get information on soon. I actually hope that Northern Tech, thank you very much. Appreciate that. It's one thing that I do hope when Squadron 42 comes out that we get to those that own those ships. You know, whether you own an Idris or Javelin, I hope that you get those exteriors. I'll pop up real quick couple images to sort of show you that from the Squadron 42 playthrough. Again, you can see those different engines there. This is, again, the Idris frigate. But for those of you that really know, the exterior of the Idris, there's actually a ton on the exterior that has changed, like truly a ton. Almost all parts and pieces of the exterior of the ship have changed from the one we have in the game. Again, you can see more there. This whole exterior is different. But it's not just, see, you can see the top there, all this greeble work on the top of this Idris, different. But it doesn't stop there. The Javelin also got that same treatment. You can see here the unique engines on the side now. It doesn't just have the top and down or the top and bottom cloned engines anymore. It's got unique engines now that we've never seen before. All the greebling on the exterior is different now. You can see little things like the little PDCs mounted up here on top. So the Javelin, Idris, both have received significant upgrades for Squadron 42, and I just hope we see those come into the game. Now, one other factoid about this, by the way, is that you can see on the rear of the Javelin, there are two large size 10 guns. I'm pretty sure that the Verse version, the PU version, Star Citizen version of the Javelin, has a quad mounted gun on the back, and I believe there's size 9s, quad mounted size 9. Architect says, StarJump Grim, wouldn't that be an older version of the Idris, seen as it is a prelude to SC? No, that's not really what I've been told. I've been told these are just new exteriors. And that when CIG did all that work on the Polaris, and they brought the Polaris and the Perseus up to the level of detail we see, that they had to bring up some of these other capital ships like the Idris and Javelin just to get them up to par, because otherwise they just did not stand up to those newer ships. Arc Ralph, thank you for the hydrate and thank you for the stretch. Appreciate that. So yeah, there's we've done a whole show about this, but yeah, there have been some changes and updates to the Idris and Javelin. So hopefully we'll see that hit the verse before too long. I think there will be some work involved. For example, if this is a new exterior, I think CIG is going to bring those old paints up to date for the new exterior and all that kind of good stuff. It's possible they could leave the older exterior in the game for those that like it, but I personally doubt they're going to do that. I think CIG wants the visual standard and fidelity to be high, so they're just going to make the decision to just update those exteriors. So, community. All right. It says here, what continues to mean the most to us is the community that has grown alongside this journey. You've given us your time, shared your perspectives, and chosen to take part in something that is truly bigger than all of us. It is the next great adventure where millions of like-minded explorers get to live among the stars, and we could not ask for a better crew. Star Citizen does have a great community. I do have to say that. Throughout the year, hundreds of Bar Citizen events took place around the world, creating spaces where stories were shared, friendships were formed, and a shared passion for the universe came to life. We were fortunate enough to attend 24 of these in person, and each one was a reminder of the care and creativity you bring to the community. These moments matter. They help keep us grounded in why we do what we do, and they continue to inspire and motivate us in ways that are truly rewarding. And then they talk a little bit about CitizenCon Director. One thing I will bring up is that last year, let's see here, let me bring it up. Where is it? So this past year, I went to one of these events. I went to Quantum Vegas 2955 out in Las Vegas. Some of you I met there. It was a fantastic time. There was lots of great pictures taken. You know what? Let's take a look at the pictures real quick here. I actually have not taken a look at the pictures on the Quantum side. I've only looked at them on, pictures that people have sent to me. But it was a great event. A lot of people were there. Sandy Roberts came out. Sean Tracy from CIG. Xylo, Galactica was there. Galactica, it was amazing. It was great to meet so many awesome people there. It was hotter than hell, though, I will say. It was so hot there. But we had a great time. These, again, are pictures from the event. There was some really great sponsors there. Beam Eye Tracker. I'm pretty sure. Who was it? There were several other sponsors. I can't remember all the sponsors, but again, such a great group of people. You can see DePoets was there, Natronics and his wife Kim Ellis. They do some really great machinima stuff. You can see a picture of Sean Tracy here signing stuff. The cool thing was all these posters that you see them signing here. These are the posters that I brought. They were STARJUMP posters. They were kind of the fleet posters, so those were pretty popular. And again, it was just a great time. Nick at Night was there. Nick at Night runs a lot of the Bar Citizen stuff. Commander Fran, who does the Beacon events, was there. It was great seeing him. There's yours truly standing here. I'm talking to fellow Star Citizeners. Is that the right word? Star Citizens? Star Citizens, yeah. Talking to fellow Star Citizens out there. I got interviewed by Serious Fun from the Soul Citizens, which was amazing. Fast Card, Paul Shelley, the Astro Historian, was there. Griffin Gaming RPG, of course, putting on the event. You can see here we had Xylo, Tracy, or Sandy Roberts, the Astro Historian Paul Shelley, and Griffin Gaming RPG on stage doing a great talk. Citizeners, yeah, we're going with that, Royce. Citizeners. I just made up a word. That's what we're going with. But yeah, it was a fantastic event. I really should encourage everybody, if you've never been to an event like this and one comes to your area, you really should try to go. They are a lot of fun. This was outside the Bar Citizen event, which was the night before. There was a bunch of ship giveaways. I can't remember how many ships CIG gave away, but it was a huge number of ships, some big ones too, like Hercules and other stuff. So, yeah, it was just awesome. It was a really good time. Again, these are some of the first times I've looked through these photos. There's yours truly talking to. It was just great meeting people. That's the other thing. It was great meeting people. So there you go. Again, if one of these are coming to your area, try to go. Try to set aside that time. Make that effort. Yo Meg's there. Try to make that effort. Try to go. Again, a lot of fun. You will enjoy them. Even with the extra cost of maybe even traveling to an event, you will love it. So, all right, let's continue. Get our last part of the letter from the chairman here. This is as eye on the horizon. I imagine this is talking about the future, so this is going to be an important part. Okay, this will be an important part. Let me go ahead and get my drink. All right. Says here, eye on the horizon. Looking ahead to 2026, our focus remains clear. We'll continue improving stability and depth in Star Citizen while expanding and connecting core systems that shape how you play, from engineering to inventory, crafting, social tools, and other foundational features, alongside expanding the playable universe itself. Again, so what they're saying there is 2026 is a year that we are going to get some of those new features that we've been waiting on, and we're going to get an expansion of our gameplay area, namely in the form of Nix. We're just going to start to get those Nix planets. It says here, server meshing will become dynamic, allowing the mesh to reconfigure in real time based on player activity and server load. This evolution is foundational to supporting the large-scale group experiences we've always envisioned and will enable us to expand the universe even further. Our goal is to have thousands of players in the same shared universe instance. Components of the server meshing systems are also being leveraged to deliver instanced areas and experiences, allowing our designers to craft balanced content that integrates seamlessly into the verse. So that's a big statement right there. That's CIG saying that we are probably going to get dynamic server meshing next year. How many of you all expected that? Global Game Night says, in the extreme unlikely chance I win, can I send the patch bundle to someone else? Yes, but you'd have to give me their email address, and then I have to send it because it's you can only gift it one time. So, so yeah, did any of you all expect that dynamic server meshing was going to be a focus next year and possibly come to the verse? I wasn't. I didn't expect that, but that is exciting. Again, it shows you how quickly the server meshing tech is maturing. We heard a little bit about this from Benoit, and that it was maturing fast, but it's nice to hear that it's maturing at a faster rate even now. Yeah, put a jacket on. So yeah, that's exciting to see, and it'll be interesting to see what roll-on effects happen because of the dynamic server meshing. Will things get magically better? Or could we see performance fall a little bit as they get dynamic server meshing integrated and then matured up to the place where current static server meshing is? I think we need to be prepared for that, because anytime a new, big piece of tech comes online, sometimes there's some setbacks so that you can see how it performs at scale in the live environment, right? I would expect that. More than likely will not be a situation where it comes in and just magically works great, right? Says here, as we expand outward, we're also building deeper. Genesis planets represent our next step in planetary tech, offering breathtaking worlds with significantly improved graphical fidelity and denser, more dynamically assembled biomes. These planets are driven by the rules of nature and our designers creating ecosystems that feel alive and authentic. Combined with Starkitect, I hate that name, but it's their system for populating planets. Combined with Starkitect locations throughout, Genesis planets deliver both the environmental depth and the gameplay density we need. Supporting this will be a new AI population management system that creates inhabitants appropriate to their local environment and enables more complex interactions between agents. This approach to building living, breathing planets is key to scaling the game to heights we're aiming for. So very exciting. We've heard about that Starkitect tool at past Citizen Cons. I think that was the tool they showed us that, is supposed to put thousands of locations on a planet. I imagine we need dynamic server meshing to even be able to handle that kind of load. In terms of, these procedurally generated locations and point of interest and these AI NPC population systems and stuff working. I think we're going to need a dynamic server meshing system to just keep performance up with all that additional stuff, streaming down to us. We're also upgrading core systems that have been with us for years. As part of our item recovery work, inventory, insurance, and cross-patch persistence are all getting significant improvements. The focus is on making it easier to interact with your belongings while improving the stability and speed of these systems overall. These are integral parts of any MMO. Yeah, so 100% agree there. One of the big things that I want CIG to focus on this year, or that I'd like to see is, and it's not a little thing, it is a big thing, but this little thing will really make people feel like, it'll have a psychological impact of making people feel like playing the game does matter and that you are making progress even in an alpha stage. And that one little thing is the ability to log out somewhere and log back into the game in the same place. You know what I mean? It would give new meaning to your ships, POIs, landing zones, all that kind of stuff. And obviously there's going to be repercussions for logging out in an area that is hostile, right? So it would be nice to see that level of persistence come into the game from a log in, log out standpoint. Don't totally know how they're going to handle it. I don't know if it's always going to be that you need to log out at a bed at a location or a ship, or if you're just going to log out anywhere and log back in and pick back up where you left off. I know they've said different things in the past, but things change over time. It'll be interesting to hear what CIG's thinking is on that level of persistence, log in, log out persistence, now, like what their modern thinking is about it. We already heard recently, I forget where we heard this, is over in the past 12 months, they talked about bed logging and especially multi-crew bed logging, and CIG said they had further plans for that they're kind of concepting right now because they're sort of reworking that system. So kind of finding out what that's going to be. I have a feeling it's going to tie in a little bit to those social systems that they're mentioning here. So, the org systems, the party systems, all that kind of stuff. I think there's going to be some connection threads across all those all those subsystems. The big interesting thing will be which one of those needs to come online first so that the rest of them can come after and plug in. I personally think it's the social system. So I think there's a high likelihood in the first 6 months of 2026, we could see some of those social systems CIG has long talked about, the org stuff, the party stuff, the crew stuff come into the game. We saw a little bit of that at CitizenCon. What was that? Not last CitizenCon, the year before. We saw kind of designs and mock-ups for that. The stuff looked really great, looked interesting. I know it got a lot of people in the STARJUMP Discord excited. So I think we could see that stuff maybe in the first 6 months so that some of these other things they're talking about can plug into that system, because you're going to want them to plug into your social system. Crying Wimp, first time chatter. The armor in ships is basically useless. Why can't I get this to go away at the moment? No persistence, especially with how easily ships have exploded. Yeah, I mean, again, it's a lot of stuff that has to plug in together. For Squadron 42, our main priority remains quality and polish as we move toward beta and release. We're confident in the direction the game is headed, and we are fully focused on delivering. We know how many of you are eager to play, and we're looking forward to putting it in your hands. We don't plan for it on a long, drawn-out marketing campaign, as we've already done our share of trailers and gameplay previews. When it's time, you and the rest of the gaming world will hear a lot more from us. Thank you for continuing to share your time, feedback, and passion for this universe. Star Citizen and Squadron 42 exist all because of you. So let's talk about that last statement there. I don't want a long, drawn-out marketing campaign, but we do need a marketing campaign, and we need a decent one. The big thing with Squadron 42 is that it really is sort of key to Star Citizen success. I mean, I know myself, a lot of others have talked about this. It's key to Star Citizen success, and we need Squadron 42 to do well. We need it to be successful. We need it to be well received by the gaming community at large, because we're going to need those other people that are willing to cross over and jump into Star Citizen, into the MMO side of things, because for an MMO to be successful, you need players, right? You need players. And we need more players than we have right now. They talked about the concurrent hours and stuff and the peak hours, and that's great, but we're going to need a big population to fuel this game, because if 1.0, let's say 1.0 comes out in a few years, for Star Citizen, let's say it comes out in a few years, we want it to be around for 10 more years at least, right? So we need a healthy MMO population moving forward. Okay. So there it is. Letter from the chairman. Interesting, exciting. Didn't talk a lot about the future. This one was definitely more geared around reviewing the past year and only talking a little bit about the upcoming year. I would prefer the letters from the chairman to be more forward thinking. So maybe a couple of notes about the previous year. Obviously, they're wanting to address that, but then spend a good amount of the letter addressing the year ahead. Again, Chris is the visionary, so when he speaks, I expect to hear that future forward-thinking stuff. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, XQ says here, what does XQ say? I missed it. I lost it. I lost it already. As a long-time listener, first-time chatter, I thought you were on holiday. I am kind of, but I am around a little bit too, here and there. I'm putting shows in between my traveling, But yeah. Oh, and I'm on your Discord. Okay, cool. I'll pop over there in just a second. pop over there in just a second. So yeah, everyone, don't forget, if you want to get in on the Elysium patch bundle giveaway, you can either choose the Elysium or the Disrupt camo patch bundle. If you want to get in on those, if you're over on YouTube, just go to the link pinned to the top of chat, leave a comment on that video. That is one of my new player guide videos. Leave a comment there. It can be one word, hello, how are you, all that kind of good stuff. And I'll choose a random winner from there. And if you're over on Twitch, all you got to do is exclamation ticket. Super easy. And you will get tickets for that. Okay. We'll give that away tonight. Okay. Do not forget. Here's the other thing. Do not forget, everyone that watches my streams from now to Invictus, for every stream you watch 30 minutes or more, your screen name is being recorded. A snapshot of that is being taken every 30 minutes. And those of you that watch at least 30 minutes of the stream or more get an extra ticket for the Ironclad and Galaxy giveaways next year. Okay, those giveaways are not active yet, but all the data is being recorded in an Excel document and will be applied once those giveaways go live. Okay, at Invictus, I'm going to give away an Ironclad base. And during IAE next year, I will give away an RSI Galaxy. All right. Let's, we'll pop over. We'll see what Execute's idea or opinion is of the letter from the chairman. Why not, right? Here we go. Let's see. All right. Hello, Execute. How are you, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, I had to mute the stream.
It's all good.
Going on it.
What was your reaction to the letter from the chairman? What was your opinion?
I didn't just sit until I jumped on your stream.
Oh,
I'm still halfway through reading it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, yeah, it mostly talks about them hitting those sort of goals they set out at the beginning of this year, and I think we all be hard pressed not to admit that they did sort of hit those goals. You know, high concurrency, high peak hours for playability, stability, all that kind of stuff. So I again, I think they accomplished that. The funny thing was, and in terms of just general gameplay, and they were really hitting it hard over this past year. I'm of the mind though that they could slow down to maybe every two months a new patch drops, give us a little bit more time to sink our teeth into the content stuff they're bringing.
That's pretty much what we've been told.
Yeah.
And a lot of people agree with that statement. So I don't think it would be hard pressed to think that wouldn't be something they would try. You know, like slow it down a bit and up the quality a little bit. I think we could all agree with that. And then there's also not the rush to kind of get out there and get it done either.
Yeah.
You kind of pace yourself a little bit as well, because some of them were an absolute chore. The one that I did that I loathed, but I did it anyway, was the Iron Man looking suit. I think it's called Corbel Silver or something like that, where you had to go through engineering and then through research and then through science, and you had to do it. You were meant to do it 15 times, but because of bugs, you're more likely had to do it 45 times.
Right.
And it was one of the most loathsome things I've ever done in the game.
There was a number of events this past year that I felt like CIG hopefully learned something from. And again, just like CIG putting new features in and new ships in, and they kind of learn from those every time they do it, I feel like the past 12 months has been a huge learning experience for the mission team, right? And one of the ones that I know really stuck out to me was, I think it was Resource Drive, where people were just going to the gateways and stations to try to buy those commodities straight from the kiosk, but there was these huge queues and they were sold out. And again, I think that just little things like that illuminated to CIG, okay, yes, you can do it this way, but here's the roadblocks there, here's the choke points there, and it's essentially good testing for them for future missions and events.
Yeah, but also things they learned too, like in January, with the first one where they put out all the data pads and they hid them like so well that hardly any of them got found.
Right.
And then on top of that, it just wasn't worth the effort. Like it was just this you didn't need it to complete it. It was just literally like gravy,
Yeah.
and it wasn't necessarily, it's not going to keep you alive if you just eat. Well, little, I guess it would, but you get my point, right? It's not the main part of the meal,
Yeah.
and that they something like that need to be really put more in plain sight, and it's an added advantage, not like sparsely hidden so you can never find it. It was just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And anyone could have told them that. And the whole verbiage of gamers don't read is another thing. Like, I can tell you now, you talk to most people, they fully prefer. Like, you take I remember back in the day, WoW's a really good example, right? So WoW, you used to have to read the missions, and I used to just go accept it. I used to never read them or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then I remember years later, after BioWare brought out Knights of the Old Republic, and they had those full-on cinematics, right? Then WoW started went, oh, I guess we should,
We got to do
and
that.
so now now they're read out, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people at least listen to them now. And I think that's a bare minimum in this day and age. Like, we have the technology, it's not that hard, and it doesn't cost that much to get one person to read them out. Even if you get one of the developers, like, there's 1,000 employees there, right? You don't need a professional voice actor, but you could literally just get someone from the development team to record one, a few different people. You don't need, I'm sure they could even get people from the community to do one, stuff like that. So there's plenty of people out there that would do it for free. You don't need to invest thousands and thousands of dollars and get like, some celebrity to voice every single mission.
Yeah, we don't need that. We need the information delivered to us. You know what I mean? And that's
Exactly.
And as long as it's done in a clear and concise way, I think that's going to matter more to people. I know who's but why though. In chat says the problem is for every small lesson CIG has learned, there's dozens they haven't, especially surrounding progression and gameplay. And I think my opinion on that. Obviously, that's true. There's mistakes CIG makes, but all we can do is hope that when a mistake is made, they do learn something from it. Now, the important thing to remember is that not every lesson they learn is going to be a lesson that we think is the right lesson. Sometimes they're going to be learning lessons from maybe a business standpoint. As a matter of fact, I think the way they monetize these patch bundles or maybe even those blades and stuff, there was negatives and positives to that from them. I'm sure they're analyzing that behind the scenes.
Yep.
It goes into a lot of things. And then there's some stuff that just seems like they keep making the same mistake on. And that's just the way it is,
They learn things in multiple ways. We teach them what they can get away with. That's why they got rid of the kits, but they kept the patch bundles. Right. Because people keep buying the patch bundles. Yeah. That's why. Right, and they've got cheaper because they obviously were too expensive. But if they actually unbundled them, even as a trial, and just tried unbundling, I guarantee you they'll even be even more successful.
Well, another good lesson that CIG's learning is we're seeing this kind of adjustment of ship prices, especially for new ships, and like flight ready prices adjusting and stuff, and that is CIG also learning, okay, what's useful in the raft is changing this way, this needs to bump up, and this and that and the other. So you're seeing all kinds of adjustments. All those are all lessons they've learned over time.
There's also the forgetting of lessons too, right? So you guys will remember the MPUV. We all kind of made a push to go out there and kind of, me and Paul and a few others really wanted to show them just how they could make so much money on volume.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're at that point again. There's a new marketing person, and they are being very aggressive in their pricing, and I think they need to learn about volume. And it's something a lot of marketing people like it's very evident on a spreadsheet. If you have something costs $1,000 and you sell more of it, you're going to make more money. But the thing that most marketing people never learn is volume. You can have something that's very cheap and it'll sell, 100,000 times more than that $1,000 one, and it'll make even more money. The last marketing guy learned that, but I don't think this one has, and I think they need to learn it, because just from what I saw this year, it was pretty gross.
Yeah, they make this comment in the letter from the chairman, there at the end regarding Squadron 42, and they say there's not going to be a long drawn out marketing promotional period. They are planning on going to beta and full release in 2026, and something I was saying is that I know we talked about this multiple times, me and you, is that how critical the Squadron 42 release is, not only for Squadron, but for Star Citizen.
Yep.
I'm not saying that even a bad release of Squadron would kill Star Citizen, but it would definitely hurt it. I think that goes without saying. And it is nice to hear that they're playing it from start to finish. All the missions are playable that way, and that they're still on track to do what they're going to do. Now, I personally still hope there is some kind of marketing campaign, and I would think it'd be insane for them not to. I think the fact that he said not a long drawn out one is to sort of hint that, hey, we are still within the window for next year, because I know there's been some content creators, myself included, who have talked a little bit about like, hey, if Squadron's still coming out next year, they really need to get going on a marketing campaign. Well, what they're saying is here is that maybe they don't need to. The marketing campaign for Squadron may be 3 months, which would be a pretty good standard marketing campaign. Some are longer, some are even shorter. But if they did 3 months, 4 months, something like that, then that gives you time, at least some time, to build up to that release, and you're still within the year window of next year.
Which is interesting because Paul Argod and I, we recorded a whole bunch of different things because Argod was going away, and the episode for next week is the year behind and the year ahead, and this is one of the things we talk about in it. But Paul and I were pretty much in agreement that they would have to start marketing somewhere between February and March, right? So that's 9 to 6 months, and that's a pretty standardized time for a video game to like really kick it off. Like, if you think about all the games that have come out in the last while, the ones that are kind of AAA, like I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head that I can't remember the name of, but I remember they literally, I think it was Fallout 4 might have been, where they literally announced it was coming in 6 months, and that was all they did. They just said it's coming in 6 months, it'll be here October, whatever, and then that was it. And I'd kind of expect the same from SC, that to start to build up the hype, because they are going to be very reliant on us. To like the community to get the word out, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a weird year though. This is the other thing we talked about.
It is going to be a weird
year because look at what's just happened right now. Almost like clockwork, you would say that we have that end of year patch here, and you would agree there's these patterns that we've kind of got used to. Next year is going to completely break the mold when it comes to patterns, because the end of the year is the release of Squadron. In a way, you know what I mean? Like it's going to be the big shebang this year. It's not going to be right at the end of the year. It's going to be in October. So that kind of pushes everything forward. And if you think about how kind of March works, right? Because they come back in January, early January, that's the month of planning. And then they start work in February, and we don't really see the first stuff until March. And then literally the next month is Invictus.
Yeah.
So you roll that out. That literally gives them 6 months to talk about Squadron and get it all done. So it's half a year. It's not a year anymore. It's half a year.
Yeah. Feathers McClaw says in chat, 6 months for something this big, I'd say that's not uncommon from what I understand. Yeah. So I can tell you all from, I've worked in marketing for 25th year.
So
go ahead.
I was going to say Paul and his parents, Paul's parents are like video game marketing people.
Yeah.
And Paul was basically, he became a teacher, right?
Yeah.
But he worked with them for a really, really, really long time before he went off and became a teacher. So he's worked in it himself as well. So, but again, please lend your weight to it as well.
Yeah. Because, I mean, there's two things to think of with marketing campaigns, and it is different. Most of the ones I've been involved in have been for feature films, movie stuff and television, but the idea
related though.
Yeah, the idea is still the same. The one way to think of a marketing campaign is, sure, you can have a really long drawn out campaign, but you can get fatigue from that. You have to think of campaigns in terms of like their breadth as well. So you could have a really long campaign that focused specifically on social, but you could also have a shorter, wider campaign that focuses on social, television, big screen, small screen, print campaigns. Again, it's how far you spread out those marketing dollars, right?
What's cheaper?
It's a pretty, I would say it's less about cheaper and probably what the best way to maximize your dollars. And from that, I would say go wide. I go wide. You'd obviously for a video game, you're going to want a heavy digital presence for sure. You're going to want to be hitting all the digital spaces. I would say too that the other thing when it comes to marketing, what you're talking about are media, what's known in the industry as a media buy. And a media buy is a contracted purchase of media time or marketing time, right? So for
Mm,
example, if let's say I'm doing something for, I don't know, for Apple, right? A commercial for their iPhone, they're going to have a media
mm.
buy. Okay. That media buy is going to dictate a few things. It's going to dictate when their campaign starts, when it ends, and all the places it's going to, how long it runs, all those little specific things. The bigger the media buy, the more expensive the more expensive it is. The shorter the media buy, the less expensive it is. So ultimately, this is going to come down to, and it kind of links into something you said a minute ago. It's going to come down to how much money does CIG have to spend on marketing, and and then whatever that number is, right? Let's say, just for shits and giggles, let's say it's $50 million or 20 million. Doesn't really matter. But let's say it's $50 million.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
What is the best way to use $50 million, right? To
And that
sell
is
your
the kind of
game.
question.
Yeah.
But this is another thing we talked about though, is they pretty much have been testing the water on lots of different things. Like they did a lot of YouTube ads around Christmas for the last couple of
They
years,
did.
right?
Yeah.
As
They did.
early back as 2018. And one of the reasons he said that he reckons they did that, and you can tell me if you think different, but he was trying to find the target audience because of the way YouTube's ads work. It allows you to target like a really broad range, and then you can literally see where your target market is because they're the ones that'll come back with the higher odds.
Yeah.
So it was like a fishing line.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. I mean, one of the main things, anytime we do anything for anyone, whether it's television, film, commercial, broadcast, whatever I'm working on, because I work in all those spaces, one thing that clients always want are metrics. They want to know whether
Mm,
it's a commercial or a promotional campaign, or even things like what we call a call to action screen. So let's say you do watch a commercial, and at the end there's like a call to action that says like, go to www blah 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 for more information, or call this number for more information. They always want metrics on that stuff. So they want hooks
mm.
to see how that is hitting with their audience, what they're pulling from a demographic standpoint. So absolutely, I think Paul's 100% correct that the YouTube stuff for sure is CIG trying to get some baseline metrics, figure out where targeted ads are gonna be most effective. So yeah, 100%. And then the other side to that is, and this may not necessarily be a big deal, but does CIG want their marketing effort for Squadron to um, tie into the already planned events they have next year in any other interesting way? So, and we know we've got a few of those. We got Invictus, we got
Mm.
IAE, we got CitizenCon. Does
You
CIG
gotta.
want to plug
We
into
talk.
those? Want to avoid those? We don't know.
I feel like I should have done the episode with you and Paul, or we should at very least do an episode with Paul, especially while Argrid's away. We should do one on marketing.
Yeah,
We agree that Invictus at the very least has to be a very big push. You know, you
yeah,
got your last chance to sell the battle cruiser. That's going to be hyped as hell. We know that you've got probably the Aurora Mark II coming more than likely,
yeah.
or shortly before. So there's a big starter ship there as well. Like that's going to have
And
a huge ass push. But yeah.
and I'm maybe getting a little bit lore centric here, but
Mm,
Invictus is a very UEE Navy military themed event. What better
mm,
way to sort of theme it around Squadron 42, which is also dealing with the UEE Navy? There's sort of a direct
mm.
line there at the very least to start the campaign, start the marketing
Yeah.
campaign. We'll have to see. I personally, as someone who's worked in marketing, I can tell you that I would hope that CIG takes some of those opportunities that are in front of them and exploits those paths for better messaging. But CIG
Mm.
may have a completely different plan. Again, I have not, and I'll say this very clearly, I have not done marketing for video games ever. I've only done television and film spaces. There are differences for sure. So I wouldn't
Well,
call myself a video game marketing expert by any means, but you get what I'm
you'd
saying.
still have a leg up on the average Joe, like myself and most people listening.
Yeah.
You know, so it's valuable to have that insight. We've always at Infronters, like we always try to
Yeah.
value people's opinions no
Yeah.
matter where they come from. But when
Eh,
you've got a bit of an informed opinion, it definitely sways it a little bit.
I actually think the fact that CIG is not doing this prolonged marketing campaign where they say it's not going to be a really long one,
Mm.
there's another benefit to that from just a pure gaming press messaging standpoint. Everyone, it's no secret, and CIG is very, very well aware of this, that Squadron 42 has been one of the longest in development projects out there. There's been multiple it's releasing this year announcements, from CIG in the past. Now, it hasn't been for a long while now, but in the past they've said that. I think CIG already knows there's built-in fatigue around Squadron 42
Yep.
ever coming out. So from a messaging standpoint, it almost benefits them to literally start the marketing campaign when the game is damn near ready to go live.
See,
that immediacy has value. You know what I mean?
well, it's something else we thought we didn't talk about, but now you kind of mention it, and I'm thinking about the costs and stuff a lot. Now, do they even bother marketing it, and then they just release it? And because it's a game, can't they give the game to a lot of streamers to play or give away, and that is free marketing because it's just a digital product?
That
So
they mentioned, and it's the first time I've heard this in a while, they mentioned beta in this letter for the chairman. And let's say if beta is a very short period, let's say beta only lasts a month. Well, you allow open applications for beta. People like streamers and stuff would get access, but you open up that way anybody can apply to get in beta, just like you do for WoW. And then there's a promotional thing where if you pre-purchase the collector's edition of Squadron, you get access to the beta. And then for that month period, you have free advertising because everyone and their mother, not just streamers, but everyone's playing it. So I could totally see something like that.
And you kind of get those people on the hook because they play it, they see how cool it is, and then they invest. Or even if they've just played it, at least they know about it now.
Yeah. The only caveat to that strategy would be that CIG has been extremely protective of keeping the story and Squadron secret. So I don't know if they want that out there, but I could see it being something like the prologue is playable or something, or maybe it's like a small portion of the game. I could, I could see that being a strategy they do though, for sure.
Is there any good suggestions in chat for how they could market it? It's
who's but why though says beta is fully internal as far as they know, and it may be. We're just talking and here's the thing though, and I'll say this: a lot of times, because I have a lot of friends that work in gaming. I actually went to college for gaming and switched my final year, so a lot of my friends went into the gaming industry. A lot of times those betas that you are playing when you bought the collector's edition, so you get beta access, they're beta, but they're kind of further along than the beta phase. Actually, they're more like a release candidate beta phase. So
I would even go on further to say that they just call it beta to make people feel it's a cool factor, like they're in the in crowd. When you have a beta for like Call of Duty or Battlefield 6, and then the game literally comes out 2 weeks later, that's not a beta. That's just them calling it a beta. So because again, look at CIG, they have names for things internally and externally.
By the way, Citizen Spooner in chat, hope you're doing well. So Citizen Spooner just said, is that a purple tick? Yes, we are partner now on Twitch. We're officially partners. So thank you, Citizen Spooner, for everyone that showed up and hung out and all that good stuff. Appreciate that.
When did you get that? Must have been recently.
2 days ago, they sent me the invite letter. We had hit the metrics for about 3 months now. I think October, November, December, I hit the metrics, which was, I think it's 6 to 8 streams per month, all at 75 or over average viewers, and we hit it all. So,
well, congrats to Bops. He got his as well.
He got his, talked to him about it. He was very excited. And again, it wasn't something we were like attempting to do. I just looked at the metrics one day and I was like, oh, damn, I'm only like 3 streams away. And the funny thing is I did those 3 streams. I got those done and it was like 5 of 6 on like the requirements. And then suddenly I came back one day and it had dropped all the way back down to 2 of 6. I was like, what the hell? I talked to Twitch. They told me to just, it'll update it. It never did. And I had to like re-earn the stuff again. So it was kind of a pain in the ass, but we are officially partners now. Thank you for all the congrats in chat, by the way. Do appreciate that. Victoria, I see you as well. Thank you very much. I mean, it's 2026 is going to be an exciting year. When you read through that letter from the chairman, and I want to get to questions here in a second, but when you read through that, they mention things like crafting, Genesis planets. They talk about things like the inventory system and social tools. That was something that's mentioned in the letter of the chairman. So when you combine that with Nyx getting filled out, I can't imagine we won't get Nyx 1 at least this year, and if not all the planets. Like Citizen Spooner just mentioned in chat, they also talked about dynamic server meshing coming this in 2026. When you start counting all that up, it looks like 2026 is going to be a like banger of a year. It's going to be a big year, and a year with some massive features coming into the game. Rough Gaming just continued their sub from Prime to Tier 1. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I was surprised at dynamic server meshing targeted for next year, but that's exciting to see. I think that's just a testament to how fast server meshing is maturing. All right, I got some questions here. You want to answer questions with me?
Sure.
The bot is running, everybody. We'll hit some questions here. Says here, Keep It Secret was saying, I was reading blank updates and saw a Flight Blade update for the Javelin. What's up with that? And do those updates come direct from CIG? Okay, so here's what that is. I know what this is. Someone contacted me about this. The part that was redacted from your thing said Urkel. You were reading the Urkel updates and saw that a Flight Blade update for the Javelin hit Urkel's website. And where does that come from? So it comes from the client. It comes from data mining the latest build. And I assume something landed for the Javelin, but that really shouldn't surprise anyone. I think it's very likely we could see the Javelin this year go to the verse.
It's
being targeted for Squadron or soon after.
Well, again, it was the same thing with the Idris. The Idris was meant to come afterwards. Like, it's like once you start laying these things out, like it was obviously so close to being done, they just knocked out the Idris and they probably paused the Javelin.
Yeah,
for a little bit and then picked it up again.
Yeah, and and to be clear here for those that are kind of new to Star Citizen, the Javelin, the Idris for Squadron have been done for quite a while. The ones for the Verse had required some additional work. And the Javelin is one of those ships for the Verse. It's supposed to have some modular rooms and stuff. It does have some different weapon hard points and stuff like that. But I personally am expecting to see the Javelin this year. It would make a great addition to that whole tactical fleet ops instance stuff that we're hopefully going to see this year as well. So
I think a lot of the ship releases are probably going to be used for a bit of the marketing as well. Like, I can't see them, like, that's kind of what I was trying to get at before too, like the Ironclad's in there as well, and the Javelin, like using the Javelin alongside Squadron's release, and like having it in, hey, you want to actually fly this thing yourself and go on it with a whole bunch of other people and shoot the guns and shit.
Thank you, Spooner. Appreciate that.
It's conjoined, does it not, in a way?
Yeah, I mean, I had someone tell me the other day, and by the way, I shouted out Spooner. Everyone go give him a check. He's got an awesome channel. Go follow his channel. I've had someone message me the other day asking about the Javelin, and I hadn't thought about the Javelin in a little while, so I kind of was going through a bunch of my Javelin stuff, and the person had asked me, hey, do you think we could see this at Invictus? And and my initial reaction was, no, I don't think so. It'll be Squadron or after. But I got to thinking about it a little bit more, and I guess my answer to that would never say never. They could totally surprise us with the Javelin at Idris or at Invictus, to be totally honest with you. As a matter of fact, they could do that as the big ship for the Invictus side of things, and then that's why DefenseCon is putting out both Ironclads to sort of counter that. Who knows? I mean, CIG, if you ever think you've figured out what they're going to do, that's when they're going to throw a curveball to you and make you look like an ass.
Well, let me ask you this then: when do you think they're aiming for? Like, what naturally speaks to you? Like,
for Squadron or the Javelin?
Yeah, for Squadron.
That's a good question. I honestly think it would be smart for them to target summer, but I think that traditionally, that kind of like September, October phase, like is really popular for big game releases. So I don't know. Personally, I think if they could get a little bit ahead of that, it would be great. Again, If they were targeting late summer for Squadron, my God, the marketing campaign is going to have to kick into gear by February for sure, in my opinion. But
again, yeah, that's why we're
depending
thinking
on
February
how,
to
yeah.
Invictus. Yeah.
So I would hope late summer. I do worry if they save it for end of year next year, there's going to be a lot of noise.
Because I'm like half the world and I'm from the southern hemisphere. What month is that?
That for us, that would be like June, July, August, like July,
Okay.
August, maybe late summer.
So the dead of winter, right, Kate?
For the dead of winter for you, yeah. Pretty much the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And then Fan Man also reminds us about the battlecruiser concept sale at Invictus. Yeah, 100%. I mean, hell, there could be some weird tie-in with Squadron for that ship for all we know. I mean, I don't think so, but who knows? CIG could, surprise us.
Well, I think it'll end up being in Squadron episode 2 or 3.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%.
And again, you got to remember the lore is basically Aegis is on the way out and Anvil is on the way in. So having Aegis stuff at the episode 1 and then Anvil stuff at episode 3 kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I have one more question for you, and this is one that we get a lot on our stream. So I just wanted you to weigh in on it. Paul and Argrid and a bunch of bots and a whole bunch of others weighing it. How much do you think Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to affect Star Citizen's Squadron 42's release, rather?
Yeah, I think there's the good thing there is that one's console, one's PC. I think that immediately puts them in.
Up on?
Yeah.
Yep, that's the first thing I picked up on, and people disagreed with me, but go ahead.
So the answer for me is something along these lines. From a gaming standpoint, I don't think Squadron interferes, or I don't think GTA interferes with Squadron that much from a gaming standpoint. The issue is from a marketing standpoint. Will the marketing drums from GTA just blare out any noise that Squadron's making? That is a legitimate risk. So it doesn't come down to when does Squadron and when does GTA release. What comes into play is when does one's marketing campaign start and the other one start.
Well, to add to that, so one of the things I thought of too is much like how one's on PC and one's on console. People go, oh, but you can't afford to buy both. And I'm like, well, if you can afford to buy a PC and a console, you can afford $200 to buy both the games a month and a half apart.
I agree.
And if you're waiting for GTA in November, and so the date that we were talking about was October around CitizenCon, so October 10th, right?
Yeah.
So that gives you a month and a half or 40 days basically to go from October to 10th to November 20th. And in that time, if you were waiting uber passionately for Grand Theft Auto 6, wouldn't you want to play something else to distract you?
Yeah, and
to pass the time more quickly?
Yeah.
Just saying.
And to go into that thing, again, with games like GTA, you're talking about a game that appeals not solely but heavily towards males and that perfect demographic from like 17 to like 45. They usually have a ton of disposable income. Trust me, there's no 23-year-old male that's not going to find a way to buy GTA even if the dollars are tight. So it's just one of those unique products that it's not really affected by that stuff. It's not affected by recessions and any economy and anything like that. You know what I mean?
It's also, you can also look at what a lot of the other media have been pushing is they want GTA to make it $100 game, where everyone else is like, what's it up to now in the States? $80 for a PS5 game type of thing. They're actually actively trying to get 2K to go to 100, because once they go to 100, it then gives everyone else the permission to go to 100.
Yeah. Rapid fire a few questions here.
I just don't think it's acceptable personally, but
it is. Yeah, it's getting pretty crazy. Question,
especially with all the microtransactions as well.
Yeah, well, I personally think if you're planning on microtransactions and post-release monetization, then that should in some way subsidize the release price of the game. You know what I mean? And make it cheaper.
Arc Raiders is a good example. What is it, like a $30 game? And then it does have like microtransactions that are optional. But not only that, you can also play the game and earn the in-game currency to buy stuff as well. It goes both ways. So
Mr. Blarkin says, in regards to engineering and ship repairs, when will they add destructible windshields and windows? Would love to see a ship vent atmosphere from glass damage. You know, so the glass and windshields, just so everyone knows, they're supposed to be like stronger than steel in the lore of Star Citizen.
It's a transparent metal in
It's
Star
a
Citizen.
transparent metal. The caveat to that, though, and here's the big caveat, is we don't really know how Maelstrom is going to affect this, ship damage moving forward. Like, for example, is Maelstrom just affecting parts and pieces of the exterior until the entire ship breaks apart? Or can you get a portion of the ship blown off, vent the rooms, and the ship still be able to limp home? I don't really know what the extent of Maelstrom is yet.
Is Maelstrom scalable? Can
Right.
you literally go, right, this is an Idris, I want it to break into 100 pieces. Oh, this is a Spirit, I want it to break into 100 pieces.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so obviously a bigger ship's going to break into bigger pieces, or can you even tailor it to a very specific spot on the ship?
Yeah.
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
It's not something, and you'd have to test the shit out of that, obviously.
Yeah.
Remember they were doing a thing on the Reclaimer, and they talked about it on one of the ISC episodes.
Yeah.
And it was like spawning so many bloody entities that they had to change how it was going to work, because it just made the whole game
the way
like
it
crazy.
fractured stuff.
Yeah. And that was an example to show people about entities and stuff. I remember the episode, but it was like what, 3 years ago now.
Yeah, it's pretty old. It was one of the it was about salvage. I know that, but with the way Jared names the episodes, it's hard to find it.
Yeah.
Shepard is Commander says, question, Grim, what is your thoughts on the teased RSI ship interior? Well, I know Info Runners. I know you guys did an episode on this just the other day.
Well, you add the sneak peek line, and this is a guaranteed data runner.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember the exact, but hang on, let me look it up and I'll get it for you.
Yeah, if anyone can get the exact line. I mean, so while he's finding that, we are essentially pretty semi-positive that this is the RSI Hermes. The big question there is, what is its role? Is it cargo only focused, or is it cargo / data running, or is it data running? We don't 100% know. But yeah, I mean, what you're seeing in here, these diagonal beams here that kind of start wide at the top and move down, that is classic RSI interior design aesthetic stuff. So 100% this is an RSI ship. Again, this...
the line.
Oh, what's the line?
It's message received.
Message received. Okay, so there you go. I mean, yeah, it does speak very heavily into data run. it's like a data running ship, or maybe it's a ship.
Look, you've looked at an Apollo a lot, yeah, and you try and tell me that's not an Apollo interior, exactly in the room where we were saying data running was going to occur.
That's
and I think
for sure.
I think the reason
an Apollo interior.
I think the reason they've done that is because what we really want to see was not this room.
Yeah.
We wanted to see the middle of the ship. Like, if you and I were going to bet money, this room or the other room, which one are you more interested in? I'm more interested in the other room.
You know, when people talk about this possible Hermes being a data runner or is a cargo thing, it's not without precedent, by the way. The ship that I think this will compete against is the Mercury Star Runner, another ship that is a data runner, but also makes
Same
for
size.
a pretty decent cargo ship if you just want to move some vehicles or ships.
We had some really interesting alternatives during our stream too, because we were like, okay, right, well, how do you make it so it doesn't directly clash with the MSR, right? Because we're all assuming it's cargo and data running. Right?
Yeah,
that's kind of like where everyone's at, right?
That's
I think that's probably still the most likely candidate.
Yeah,
but we were like, give us some ideas that are not cargo and data running. What would you put data running with? And the most interesting one came out was another form of cargo. Like, data is a cargo. People are also cargo. Yeah. And so the person basically said, what if it was like the E1 mixed with a data run? And I was like, that's kind of interesting. It would technically work. You've got the skylight in the Apollo, so you can kind of have a bit more luxurious feel. I don't see them releasing it right now, but
the Apollo hull,
it's interesting.
The Apollo hull in general could actually apply to so many ships, like ship rolls, to be totally honest with you. But I agree with you. I mean, I am really excited to see this from a totally, hey, Haska, I hope you're doing well, buddy. From a totally speculative standpoint, I think there was some initial thinking that this ship could land for the December patch. That's obviously not happening now. But
we think there is also presence there too.
Okay.
I wouldn't. I'm going to say you are likely correct, right? I'll
Yeah.
say that straight off the bat, right? But what if it was? So one of the things we realized when we were thinking about it, we were like, why would you release it after the announcement of the patch? And we were kind of, well, everyone's kind of burned out on AIE. December just ended, or December 3rd, the AIE just ended. Nobody's got money. No one's got money. We all spent it all. We've all just spent our Christmas presents. But the day after Christmas in Australia, they call it Boxing Day. I don't know if you guys call it Boxing Day as well.
Yeah.
But everyone goes out and spends all their money they got on Christmas Day. It's actually they actually make more money in the week between Christmas and New Year's Eve here at retail than they do in the month leading up to Christmas.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Right. So I know that because I used to work at a couple of retail stores when I was in between video game design jobs, right? So I know about that. And why wouldn't CIG do the same?
I mean,
if they released the ship,
I wouldn't doubt that they
Christmas,
would do something like that. I definitely wouldn't.
It's still technically in December, and it gives them a week.
Yeah.
A week before they roll into January, and also you can just again bring out another ship afterwards. Like in January, it is more than likely coming in January, right? I'll give that to you. But there is a precedence there.
I'll tell you right now. I've learned my lesson already. I will never say never. So for sure, they could absolutely do that. Probably be pretty smart. We know that probably at the beginning of January, we're going to get that in case you missed it sale again.
Agreed.
So that will be another big sales event, and that will probably be all the ships that were sold during 2025, of which there were 24. So that's a big sale in and of itself. So what I would say is if this ship does not come directly after Christmas, then more than likely this ship could come possibly for a late January or February release, only because they're going to want to give that, in case you missed it, sale some breathing room.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong.
The Can You Miss It sale traditionally kicks off around, I'm trying to remember the dates, but I know it's after the middle of January.
Oh, is it? I thought it was the first week of January. Okay, maybe I'm not.
So there was a sale back in the day where they used to have an Australia Day sale around the 26th, because Sandy's Australian, right? So she used to do an Australia Day sale, and I remember one year they sold a couple of ships like the Roy LN because it's green and gold, and there was another one and stuff like that. Yeah. But that's what I think's morphed into this in case you missed it sale. Okay. Because it's around that time frame, around the 20th of January type of thing. So that's the next question is, if you sell this at the last week of December that leads into the first half of January, it's got quite a bit of breathing room. Yeah. It's got almost a month on its own. Yeah. And again, you want to make that breathing room from the AIE. We've essentially we've only had 20 days since AIE ended.
Yeah.
It's not a lot.
It's not a lot.
And Christmas Day, so what, Christmas Day's in 3 days for you guys, and for me it's in 2. So, I think it's all possible. Yeah. And this marketing person, you have to agree, has been pretty different.
Yeah. I agree. That's part of why I don't want to say no on anything. I think anything's a possibility because they've been surprising me all year, to be quite honest with you.
Exactly. I agree with you. And I also, by the other token, as I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes the other way. In fact, I think the pattern in me, right? The pattern person in me says, no, it's coming January. Yeah. But the what if person in me is going, well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Real quick, everyone, don't forget, if you want to get in on the either an Elysium patch bundle or Disrupt camo patch bundle, just if you're on YouTube, go to the link pinned to the top. Chat, leave a comment on that video. There's a new player guide video. If you're on Twitch, just do the exclamation ticket. We'll pull one from each and put you in the random wheel of names. You know how this works. All right, more questions. Let's rapid fire some questions here. The Glass Sword says, question, with 6 months past, what are your feelings on the sale of flight blades and weapon kits? Okay, so I'll give you my opinion real quick, and Execute can give you his real quick. Ultimately, they didn't bother me as much as they bothered everyone else, and the partial reason for that was because, to me, I didn't look at the flight. I'm talking about those flight blades, by the way. The flight blades to me weren't a straight buff. Had they been a straight buff across the board, I would have had some issues with that. But they did buff you in one area and then nerfed you in another. So for that, to me, it just felt more like an option and not like a pay to win thing. But I do get why it bothered people. On the weapon kit thing, I think it is. I'm totally accepting of it because that is going to be where Star Citizen goes. I think there's going to be kits for all kinds of shit sold. I think that's going to be a major source of microtransaction revenue in the future. So I'm just kind of like, it is what it is. As long as they're not releasing like a god weapon that you must own for the ship, I more just like when CIG gives you the option. So for example, when they release the L-22 Alpha Wolf, they also put in the ballistic weapons kit and the energy-based weapons kit. Well, I just upgraded my L-21 to an L-22 and bought the ballistics kit. That way I had essentially both ships for the price of one plus a little bit. You know what I mean? I like when they do it that way, but I know it's controversial. Execute, what are your thoughts on both of those items now that some time has passed?
After I talked to a lot of people, we did a lot of polls when they first came out, and I even talked to people at CIG, and it was never, ever about the kids.
Mm-hmm.
It was about them being bundled.
Right.
Because what we found was most people wanted the skins for the Hammerhead or the Scorpius or whatever the ship was that they wanted to buy them for, but they felt that they were having to buy something that was literally worth $0 in a month's time. And they were being charged for it, and that's what pissed a lot of people off. That was really where the annoyance came from. By the same token, I also know they made a shit ton of money from them, but I also know that a lot of people melted them.
Right,
they didn't keep them, so they might have made money in the short term. And I think you would agree on this too, and I also put this to the people listening. You might have the data on how well something's sold and that it sold shitloads of things and it's a number on a spreadsheet. But how many people can you tell me on a spreadsheet that are happy with their purchase? Well, they're not annoyed, they're not pissed off, they're not disgruntled purchasers. There's no way to track that.
Yeah, and the other thing too is when you look at it from CIG's perspective, it's money coming into the studio, but you can't take your money out. Even if you melt it, because you're not happy with it, it's still money in the studio ultimately. So for them, it's a win-win, regardless of whether you melt it or not. The money came in.
But it's the wrong message.
It's the wrong message. I agree with that. Just
the message they're taking away is, oh, we can do this and get away with it, right? Yeah. That's why we're still seeing the patch bundles with the skins, because people and also they weren't as egregious, right? They're only like $20, $25.
They've gone down in price,
right? Right. But when they first came, they were like $30, and some of those kits, right, they were $50, $60. Some of those kits, right? So they were much more expensive, right? Yeah. And they had some of the coolest skins we'd ever seen. Right, the black with the red is very popular with a lot of people. It might not be for you, but I think anyone that can look at something objectively can go, I could see why a lot of people like those. And then to bundle them with things that were literally going to be free in 2 months or so.
Easily some of the most interesting skins. Whether you like them subjectively or not is beside the point. Like some of them, like even the Disrupt camo patch bundle that's out now. I mean, it's pretty wild. You know what I mean? Like we don't ever see anything like this, even for big events like IAE.
And some people like that wild stuff that stands up because they get noticed. You know, like you got to make skins for all types, right? Did you do?
By the way, thank you for all the follows, everyone. Sorry, what was that, Execute?
Did you do the survey at all?
I did. Yeah, I did do the survey.
Can I swear? Fuck, they were long. That was so fucking long.
It was a long survey.
Many fucking questions. Yeah.
But I was happy with the questions asked.
They were good questions.
Yeah, they were good. They were good questions. It was a pretty long survey. All right, we still got some questions to get through here. Let's rapid fire some. Doomer1 says, or actually skip one. Ruger Blood Moon says, do you think Jared is satisfied with the jalopy, or the quote unquote the shiv he asked for on SCL? I don't think the jalopy he wants is the shiv, because the shiv has technically been a thing for a long time in Squadron. So I don't think that was the jalopy. So
I think a lot of people want a jalopy that is like fully customizable.
Yeah,
it's something that you can literally
modular
make it,
kind of
like,
ship.
Yeah, or you know, and you and I we talked about this on one of your streams, like how you could literally make it so every time it's made, it's bespoke. You know, it's got its own custom greebling and stuff like that. It is a possible thing in the future.
Yeah.
But the thing that we I think we agreed on was how much extra work you've got to do to pull that off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't get any really gameplay. It's just a nice to have. There's no gameplay associated with it.
Yeah.
But you'd be able to use those tools in other areas too. So maybe in the future when they get round.
Doomer1 says, when we see the next monthly, or says, when will we see the next monthly PU report so that we can see any progress on developments, and specifically mention the Kraken? I imagine we will get one. We'll get the December one probably in the first week of January or so, or sometime early January, I would think, but could be later January. I forget how quick they come for January because the studio is working at like half capacity. So I'm not 100% sure. What I will say is that I think the Kraken updates will still be a little bit light on details for the foreseeable future. I think the next big opportunity CIG has to at least talk about it with more detail would probably be DefenseCon. But, you know, I say that, and then suddenly in March, CIG is just going to like pull the curtain back on the Kraken. No, but ultimately, though, where I'm going with this is I think the Kraken still has a pretty long runway. I do think it's a 2027 ship, so you might hear some murmurings that it's still in development, but it's going to be a while for that one, unfortunately.
I think for those of us like ourselves that follow this game so closely, Star Citizen this year will probably be I don't know how I'm going to comment on this. I'm going to say, look, let's be honest. Squadron's going to be stealing the limelight, right? It's going to be out there. That's the thing they're going to be really trying to sell this year.
Yeah.
And Squadron's going to drop. Sorry, Star Citizen's going to be more of a support role to be there to pick up those people once they're finished playing Squadron. So I don't know how I think on that. Like, is it like, okay, it's just as normal for us that follow Star Citizen, or does that mean Star Citizen's going to be less loud this year and really take a back seat to let Squadron shine? And then once Squadron's out, all of a sudden they hit really hard with all this Star Citizen content. Like, I don't know. How do you think that's going to go? I'll just put that back to you because it's a weird one to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how they're going to approach it. I would say that I hope CIG understands two important things, and I'm sure they do. I'm not trying to speak over them or anything, but one is that the community that CIG does have, all the hours that Chris Roberts mentioned in that monthly report, or sorry, that letter from the chairman. Yaruto, thank you for that raid. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a nice night streaming. Thank you for stopping over. But those numbers he talked about, those aren't Squadron 42 players. Those are people playing Star Citizen. And I hope CIG recognizes the energy behind Star Citizen. And just because Squadron 42 is coming out, they make sure to at least keep some dialogue, effort, and spotlighting on to Star Citizen. And there's ways to hook Squadron 42 into that to benefit both products. That's the first one. And then the next one is that these products for new players, put aside all the rest of us, the existing player base, for new players where their first thing they're ever going to play related to Cloud Imperium games is Squadron 42, you want them to play Star Citizen. So CIG needs to make sure that Squadron 42 handshakes and plugs directly into Star Citizen. That's very, very important.
Yeah, I also, the other question I struggle with is how well is Squadron 42 going to stream, right? Because it's got all those story beats. Like, I know all of us are going to want to kind of play it on our own, so it's not spoiled. We've waited all this time, but like, I think a lot of people are not even going to know it's going to exist. By the same token, I don't think it's going to be like you and me and almost anyone in the Star Citizen community. I think it's going to be those really big outsiders that come in, and those people that are like a variety streamer, and they're, pick one. I don't want to be biased, there's a lot of them, and that they'll play it and basically draw other people into playing it as well, and then hopefully they carry over to Star Citizen as well after the fact. I just don't think us as a Star Citizen community is, I think after the fact, watching one of us play it for the third or fourth time, maybe that'll get some viewers, or
Yeah.
and talking about all the different options and stuff like that, like actually analyzing it could be rather interesting.
Yeah. It
I don't
will
know.
be. It's
I think most of us are going to want to enjoy it on our own,
yeah,
and not have it
especially
spoiled.
the
We
first
waited this
time.
long. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So the second or third time, yeah, who cares? The main story beats, but
Yeah.
I yeah, I don't know. I think we're gonna have a different. What I'm trying to say is, I think the Star Citizen community is gonna have a very different opportunity or experience with it than what the normal people are that come in after the fact. And I
Right.
think most of you would agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's I agree. Here real quick, where was that? Where did it go? Where did it go? I just lost it. Stand by. Citizen Ninja says, any guesses on what Squadron 42's price will be? And then he mentions possibly $45 on Pledge Store, the $20 add-on to SC. I think Squadron 42 is going to be $65. I think it's going to be a full price AAA game, personally.
Yeah, I think. Well, again, in this letter, it literally says it goes for over 40 hours.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you look at that, essentially the tutorial from the last kind of trailer we got, the Hold the Line trailer, that quality at full price is cheap as hell.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? That is a very cheap game, and I'd be willing to bet that it almost comes out and goes up over time.
Yeah, I agree. And here's the other thing too, and I know you've said this in regards to game MMOs that have subscriptions and ones that are free to play. Sometimes pricing a game too cheap actually can make people feel like it's not going to be a good experience, just from a psychology standpoint. So pricing it at the same price as you would expect other premium AAA games automatically puts it in that, you know what I mean, that discussion. So
yeah, not knowing that every Chris Roberts game eventually came to console,
yeah,
even if it's not $70 on release, when it does come to console, one of the things the console people will do is make them push the PC price up. And I've seen it on multiple games. Hunt Showdown, for example, was only 30 Australian dollars, and then it came out on console, and it is now still 60 Australian dollars. It doubled in price overnight.
Yeah, and because I know there's additional fees for the game company to put their game on those consoles that they have to cover. So
no, retail just make them do it.
Yeah.
Because and retail's argument is, well, we lose sales to PC people because if it's half the price on PC, they'll just buy it on PC.
Yeah.
So you got to make them the same price on both. So knowing that the price of PS5, for example, and Xbox is $70, I have to assume, knowing Sandy and knowing the other marketing people, they would research into that. I think the safe bet, right? And I'm saying playing it safe. Well, I don't agree. It couldn't be cheaper. I think it's $70.
Yeah,
it just seems to be you don't have to run around and do stuff that's differently there. But yeah.
All right, we're gonna rapid fire the next few here, and then we're gonna get to the giveaway. Ruger Bloodmoon says, "Do you think the Azteca TV Galaxy ad was part of CIG marketing?" No, they just stole the Holo model because it was a Holo model, and CIG would have never allowed that. So no, they just stole it. Let's see here. Super Shoe says, "Do you think beta will be an Evo thing?" I don't know what you think, XQ, but I hope it's not, because I think they'll get some bad press from that.
I think that they won't, and if it is a beta, it'll be like the first level or something like that, and they'll probably let it go wider because of that. Also, someone in chat called Tyler, it's now jumped off the screen, said something to words of the effect, they should make it so that when you spend X amount in Star Citizen, you get Squadron for free. Yeah, they have. It's called Concierge.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Thorn says, how many ships do you think will be released in 2026? I think they said it was around the same amount of ships. So like 24, 25, 26, something like that.
Over 20 will be fine.
Be over 20.
And I think you'll agree, Grim, just like this year and the year before, it'll be mostly variants.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of variants. Again, and again, that is because of a couple things. I think primarily it has to do with some of the larger ships that are in development. They suck up a lot of resources. We know we got both Ironclads, now the Galaxy in development this year. And the Galaxy, I mean, unless something's been happening behind the scenes that we're just not aware of, the Galaxy is going to have a pretty truncated timeline. So there's going to be sort of all hands on deck. So you're going to see a lot of variants. Yeah.
Look, me and Chad have been talking, Grim, and we want a committal from you right now on stream. that if there is no variant of the Clipper, that you'll eat your hat live on stream.
Oof. If there's not a variant of the Clipper, I will attempt to eat my hat. Let's put that. I'll attempt to eat it. Okay. AKA 3913 says,
Will be nice to let you sauce.
Okay.
You can have some sauce with it. Or gravy if you prefer.
John Crew mentioned that a similar amount of ships will come out in 2026. 27 ships released in 2025. Do you expect to see for larger ships or backlog ships? Essentially just saying, do we expect to see larger backlog ships this year? Yeah, for sure. I think it'll be, you're definitely going to get that. I'm expecting Ironclad. Obviously, we're going to get Galaxy. Those are both backlog ships. But I'm also expecting ships like the Expanse, possibly the Legionnaire this year. So again, yeah, I'm expecting some backlog.
I'd agree with those.
Possibly the Javelin. Yep.
I think some of the older ships, though, you would agree, Grim. Some of them really do need reworking. They've been sitting there for a really long time. Like I think there's about 5 or 6 on the backlog, and they were all announced in like 2014. And they literally haven't had a reconcept or anything. Like that's over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And we've heard little things like the updates to the whole E&D, for example. So, and they've been around that long. The Endeavor, the Crucible, and there's a few of them. I have to go back and look at exactly which ones they were again. I know you and I did an episode on it a couple of months ago, though, didn't we?
Yeah.
Remember I came on and we went through the backlog? Yeah.
Let's see here. The next question is on the Endeavor. And that says, question, does the command module of the Endeavor not look a lot like the Odyssey? It does. It does look a lot like the Odyssey. It does not the Odyssey, but it looks, there's some cues taken from that. As a matter of fact, in this video, I think I even did a kind of a mock. Did I put it in this video? I can't remember if I put it in this video or not.
Agrid has a theory that if you take the Endeavor and essentially scale up the Endeavor cab to make it exactly the same size as the Odyssey cab, you get the real kind of size of what the Odyssey is going to turn out to, the Endeavor is going to turn out to be, and it's fucking big. Yeah, it's quite big. Yeah. It grows considerably.
Yeah, if you scale it up that way. I mean, to be totally honest with you all, though, when they reconcept the Endeavor, they could go the other way. And what I mean by that is maybe the front of the Endeavor becomes heavily based off the Starlancer. We just don't totally know which direction they're going to take it. We'll just have to see.
I think there are some like all those older ships. It's up for some big changes, like straight changes, away off the bat. Like you probably wouldn't make it this really long trailer anymore. You'd probably try to make it 3D in a different way. There's so many different ways they can do it. And if you're going to go to that complexity of making all those modules, then why wouldn't you make them a bit more universal? Like there's some massive design issues, like where if you put the hangar in, you have to put this other module because it connects to one at the top. Well, you just remove that. You'd make it so that it just connects to the ship itself, not to the module. There's all these weird things with it. So there's definitely some reworks coming for that as well.
Lieutenant Draco says, do you think orgs will be able to rent hangars?
There was originally an org hangar talked about back in the very early days, and someone actually did work on it. And I'm going back as far as Wingman's hangar. That is how far back I am going. For those of you that knows Wingman's hangar, Wingman doesn't even work at CIG anymore. He left like in 2016. But when Disco came along and took over, basically, and one of the original design for the org hangar was an upside down step pyramid. So you know what a step pyramid is, right? So imagine that the internal of it, you turn it upside down, so it starts as a square at the bottom and they step up. That's what it used to look like. And you could essentially stand in the middle of it and see everyone's ship parked around the edges.
My counter to that would be, again, it's been a long time. If I personally had to sort of think about it, I think the space stations are like where org hangars went to. Now they're a much bigger thing.
Or your base that you build yourself.
Or your base you're building stuff. And here's the thing. I guarantee you they're going to have smaller space stations too that are not as big as the one they showed. I think the whole idea of a org focus point has gone to bases that you build and stations that you build. So,
but by the same token, if your whole org wanted to hire an org because it works out an org hangar because it works out cheaper at ArcCorp, I can't see that not being a thing.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Why not? It just doesn't hurt. You know,
Yeah.
so again, you're just essentially taking it and you're changing the textures inside it so it looks like AeroView or Safeland or whatever city you want to
Yeah.
put it at. So it's not an extra heap of work once you make it. In fact, I'd like to see a couple of different designs for org hangers. I think you'd agree.
For sure.
It's just that initial implementation versus the long-term viability. And I think at this stage, if you've got to look at the work to be put in to make an org hanger or make an actual space station, well, then you got to put it in a space station because you get a lot more back out of it.
Yeah, I'd fully agree with that. All right, everybody, we got 2 more questions and we're going to do the giveaway here. We're coming up on time. I50mm says, am I the only one that would love flight blades for the pilot of the Perseus to control both size 8 cannons with head tracking, of course? You're probably not the only one, but I would not get too excited about that future. don't see that.
You
happening.
And everyone, but it just breaks the ship.
It just turns it into a different thing.
You have to have design restrictions.
Yeah. If anything, engineering has showed us that CIG wants to incentivize other people being on your ship, not incentivize you to do it solo. So,
Yep.
Any last point about that before we go to the last question?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Last question is Shepard is Commander's question. Will we see any more ships getting docked snubs or attaching in any way? Execute, I'm going to let you take that one while I get the giveaway.
I think it's pretty simple, yeah. Like they're working on that command module. You start looking at where they can use the command module other places. We literally just talked about the Endeavor. That would use that tech. The command module is for the Endeavor is the same as the command module, just it's bigger on the Endeavor. So they're going to use that tech again. So now they've got it. Why wouldn't they bring out some ships to utilize it?
Yeah.
You know, and one of the ones you and I have talked about a few times now, this must be like the 4th or 5th time I've talked about in this last 6 months with you, is that Obi-Wan ring ship.
Yeah.
We've talked about, something akin to that. Would use that. What if you had a ship that is like multiple little snubs and you all fly together and warp, and when you get there, you just kind of like detach from your mothership or your ring or whatever you want to call it? That would be mad.
Yeah.
Again, you mentioned like 4 Merlins that just dock with a ring.
Yeah. That'd be really cool. It'd be crazy.
That'd
be awesome.
Yeah. Why not? And just whoever takes the central position controls the whole thing. So
real quick here before we go into and I know I'll share my screen, by the way, Execute, just so you can see what I'm looking at. But for those of you that are curious about the latest Jump Point that was released, it's a really good episode. Actually, they do cover the Salvation and the Clipper and some of that early concept work. Many of you know that I've done streams on early concept work before, so I do like looking at that kind of stuff. Some really cool designs for the Salvation. Some of this we saw in some of those original images they showed us on the Inside Star Citizen episode. The one thing I couldn't help but think about when I looked at some of these, Execute, was some of these.
It was the Pisces one that made it.
Yeah.
Okay. So so we actually did see it before it kind of came further. Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, I'm going to go out on a crazy limb here for a minute. Okay, I'm going to go on a wild speculatory limb here. Some of these, especially like these ones over here on this side, on the far left-hand side here. Let me see that. I mean, like this one right here that I'm putting my mouse on. Tell me that could not be a possible Aurora Mark II.
Well, we've seen it before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Where really cool concepts have come around again. Yeah. I know the Saulian came out of a Raelian concept thing. Yeah. I know that that year where they did all those silhouettes that were little concept silhouettes. They made almost all of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
And so when you're looking at some of this stuff and some of this concept work, make sure to kind of look with that eye, into the future. And there's some really interesting stuff there. Again, who knows? I mean, now the Salvation ended up changing from this stuff, but you see how far they sort of took some of these original designs here. The new Salvation, for example, doesn't have these rear engines like this, but could this end up being something similar to where the Aurora Mark II goes? Who knows? I think the sky's the limit on that stuff. But the next thing they had down here, and again, I won't deep dive these. Make sure you subscribe if you want, but go ahead.
I do want to ask you a Mark II question in a minute. So, I will in a minute.
Well, I was going to say, they did have some stuff here for the Clipper. again, some designs I thought were really, really cool that I do hope they come back to. I love some of these designs here they had for Drake. I would love to see a sort of a crafting ship come out of Drake that looks like these.
It's almost like a mini ironclad. That
Kind of like a little
the middle one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the middle square one on the left. Yeah,
Yeah, I totally agree.
Like a mini ironclad. Yeah.
And you can kind of see over here on this other side where they were experimenting. I would love to see some of those designs from Drake. Obviously, the one they landed on is really cool and interesting as well. I love that with Drake, they're kind of being a little out there and doing some wild stuff. Like their ships have a lot of like diversity amongst them. When you put a Cutlass next to a Caterpillar, next to a Clipper, you could almost think they're from different manufacturers, but they all got that Drake vibe, right? So,
just so it says brief one.
Yeah,
it
brief
doesn't
one.
implying that there's more than one brief.
Well, it says brief one, combat medevac.
So where are the other numbers and how many are there?
Yeah.
That's my whole point. They don't talk about brief 2 or 3, but why is it numbered?
So here's brief 2, Drake support vehicle. And is there a brief 3? Let's see. No, but they at least showed you they were talking. So could that case vac, that medical combat medic, could that be another variant? Who knows? Who knows? Combat
medevac, and what was the other one? Support what?
It was Drake support vehicle. It says small ship intended to be used for expeditions into so essentially what it became. It says here the medbed and crafting station help keep players prepared. So that was sort of where it ended up, the generalist thing. But the combat medevac says a tough, medium-sized ship intended to be used for case vac in dangerous environments. The pilot's remote turret is able to provide cover to the ramp, marking pickups in particularly active zones safer. So anyways, check that out if you're interested in Jump Point. Pretty cool. Let's get to the giveaways real quick here, though. Make sure we're going to do stream elements first. Make sure you do your exclamation ticket. You got about 10 more seconds to get in on that. And then we will pull a random winner from here. You'll be a semi-finalist, and you will go into the random wheel of names. You know how we do it. If you win, you can contact me via Discord. You have 2 days to contact me, and I'll get you set up with either the Elysium patch bundle or Execute's favorite, the Disrupt camo patch bundle.
That is a lie. What? That's a blatant lie, sir.
We know it's your favorite. All right, we're going to close the giveaway in 5.
Yeah, just like the Redeemer is Paul's favorite ship.
Exactly. Yeah. 3, 2, and 1. Giveaway is now closed. We're drawing a winner. Good luck. Winner's drawn. We're scrolling. Okay, The Prisoner. The Prisoner, a regular on the StarJump streams. Congratulations, The Prisoner. Putting you in the wheel of names there. Congratulations on that. All right, now we're going to the random YouTube comment picker. Before I do this, by the way, make sure you go to that random YouTube comment, get your comment in. Before I pull that winner, though, I will say to Execute, I know that you did the show with Paul the other day, and my friend Dusty Starr was able to be a guest on there. I had hit Paul up and told him that he should definitely get Dusty on. Dusty's a great dude. It was nice to see you all three doing a show together. Hopefully it went well. I didn't get to watch the full thing yet.
It was a really good, interesting conversation. There wasn't, you don't often get people that you disagree with that you kind of respect, though. Like, he held his own and held his own against me, no less. He did really well, and I, we didn't agree on everything.
Yeah, me and you don't agree on everything. It's great when you're challenged by people.
Yeah, I found I grow when I get challenged, and Paul said exactly the same thing to him, and he said he learned a lot, and that's what we want. We all want to learn.
Yeah.
There's people that we've talked to in the past where they just don't even want to. It's not a debate. They just don't even want to converse. And I really appreciated Dusty.
And you don't want just people always agreeing. You want a little bit of that disagreement. Yeah. You want the debate, because everyone's going to have a different opinion. And to be totally honest with you, I know you've said this a lot. We don't work for CIG. We don't know. We're speculating. Things we think are going to happen, or the intent behind things. We are just giving you our opinion on. Sometimes we have some inside knowledge, but it's our opinion, and other people might have different opinions. So,
well, it brings you closer to the truth if you can speculate with people that disagree, right? Because if more people when you eventually kind of start to agree, right? Because the more you talk with people, the more you start to agree,
Yeah.
the more common ground you find. And you can, this is about any topics, whether you pick politics or religion or Star Citizen, the more you come to agree, the closer you get to the truth, right?
Yeah.
So, or what is the perceived truth? Because you can always say we will miss one tiny little bit of information and throws the speculation completely out the window. So yeah.
All right, we're going to pull the random YouTube comment. You all had some time to leave it. I'm going to go into advanced options, make sure I pull the right date. It is for today. We started streaming at 6 p.m. It is a Monday. It's a weird day for me to be streaming.
It's the 23rd of December, man, not the 22nd. What are you doing?
That's well, see, in the correct hemisphere.
In the backwards land of the over-ups in the America. I get it.
I do like
I can't help it. I'm from the futures. Do you want the lotto numbers? Why am I?
Here we go, everybody. Good luck picking a random YouTube comment now. I'm going to get the warning window pop up. I don't know why they do that now. Sand Chimera, the age of ballistics is the comment he left. Sand Chimera, congratulations, putting you in the wheel of name with our boy, the prisoner. We're going to copy both of you. Do the, oops, I screwed that up. I did screw that up. There we go. We'll put your names down here. We'll duplicate it a little bit to make it interesting. Okay. All right. We're going to spin it. Remember, you got 2 days to get a hold of me. If you're in chat, make sure you friend me and get a hold of me on Discord, and I'll get you worked out for either one of those.
You need a picture on your wheel.
I do. I need to get
image.
This, yeah,
I know. Like we got one at Disco with his thumbs up. That's
I know. I need to get a good
or
one.
Algrid's face.
Maybe I'll use Execute's face.
No. Use the double salute one.
Oh yeah,
that's the one you use with the eyebrows that look like they've been charcoaled on.
Yeah, this one here.
I don't know. I can't see it. Hang on.
It's on the stream. You can't see it on yours, but there we go. All right, everybody. Good luck. We're gonna spin it in 5, 4,
good luck, everyone.
3, 2, and 1.
Also, there's another option. Ooh.
Sand Chimera, congratulations. You have won your choice of either an Elysium patch bundle or the Disrupt, either the Elysium patch bundle or the Disrupt camo patch bundle. All you got to do is get a hold of me via Discord, StarJump_Grim. I'll confirm you, and then we'll get you set up with your prize. Congratulations. Execute. Where can people find you?
On the Infrunners, on our YouTube or Twitch.
That Info Runners group, huh?
Yeah. Do you know I Googled the other day for the first time Infrunners in a really long time?
Yeah.
And some weird ass things come up. It was really strange to... Don't Google yourself on the internet, people. It is very weird.
You start getting to some dangerous places, my friend.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, these Infrunners people, man, tell everyone to sell their fighters. Like, and it was a Reddit post from 4 years ago.
By the way, thank you very much.
I mean, it was all the... I'm sorry.
You're good. Everyone, thank you for the follows tonight. We had a bunch of them. It was hard to keep up, so sorry if I missed your name. But thank you very much for the follows and support. We made partner. It was amazing to have you all chime in, to show up and be part of the streams over the past 3 months. It's been really great. So hitting partner was really cool. Again, no, you're not going to see any changes. We're going to keep doing what we do. You're going to see the same type of content on the same type of cadence. So just keep tuning in. We'll keep having fun conversations. 2026 looks to be like a pretty wild year for Star Citizen, and especially if Squadron 42 is indeed going to launch. It's going to get really busy around these parts. Let's just put it that way.
Yep.
By the way, I see Dusty Star in chat. I saw Thrusters and Dust in chat on YouTube. There you go. He shouted you out. Dusty, nice to see you, buddy. We were just talking about you. Tonight, everybody, I'm going to raid. Go ahead.
Before you raid, I just want to say this. As a Star Citizen community, just remember 12 months from now, when this is out, we are going to be a very different community.
A very different one, yeah.
Now. We're going to have so many new people in here.
Yeah.
It's going to change everything. So, yeah, just remember who your friends are and make some new friends along the way. Obviously, we're going to get some people that come in and go. We're also going to get some bad eggs. But generally, it's been a really good community, and I hope it doesn't change too much.
Yeah.
So thank you all for being here. I really appreciate our community for what it is.
Fully agree. All right, I'm going to send you all over to someone who raids me pretty often. I want to make sure I return the favor when I can. Early STARJUMP supporter, nice guy. I was on a show with him where me and him were interviewed. I can't remember whose show it was, but he was an awesome dude. Going to send it over to Zero State. About to start that raid, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your week. You can probably look for a stream from me at the end of this week, possibly Friday. I'll get back to you on that and get it on the schedule. But until then, do something nice for a stranger. Have a good rest of your week. Enjoy your holidays. Open lots of presents. Eat lots of food. All that kind of good stuff. Everyone, have a great night. Love you. Appreciate it.
Citizens.